He lived a simple life and he liked it that way. Ethan Cole worked long hours at a repair shop on the edge of the city. He fixed broken machines, old engines, and sometimes things people thought could never work again. He did not talk much. He did not complain. When the day ended, he cleaned his hands, locked the door, and walked home alone. His apartment was small. One room, a narrow kitchen, and a window that looked at nothing special. But it was quiet, and quiet was something Ethan valued. He cooked simple meals, read old books, and slept early. No one waited for him. No one depended on him. Still, he always felt like something was missing, though he could never explain what. One evening after work, he took a longer route home. The city market was still open, full of noise and lights. Most stalls sold normal things, food, tools, cheap electronics. But at the far end, hidden between shadows and broken signs, Ethan noticed a stall he had never seen before. The seller stood still, wrapped in a long dark coat. His face was strange, not quite human but not fully alien either. His eyes reflected light in an odd way, like polished metal. Ethan should have walked away. Instead, he stopped. The seller said nothing. He only placed a small ring on the table. It was simple. No gems, no symbols, just smooth metal, dull gray, warm to the touch. Ethan picked it up without thinking. It felt right. "How much?" Ethan asked. The seller smiled faintly. "Less than it's worth, more than you know." Ethan paid without asking questions. When he looked up again, the stall was already gone, as if it had never existed. That night in his apartment, Ethan examined the ring under the light. It did not shine. It did not change color. It was almost boring. He laughed quietly at himself for buying it. "Guess I wanted something new," he muttered. He slid the ring onto his finger. The moment it touched his skin, the world changed. Not with noise or light, not with pain, with silence. Deep, heavy silence pressed against his mind. His heart slowed, then steadied. The ring grew warm, not hot, just enough to feel alive. Ethan tried to pull it off. It did not move. He frowned and tried again, harder this time. The ring stayed in place as if it had always been there. A strange feeling spread through his chest. Not fear, not excitement, connection. Far beyond Earth, beyond known space, beyond human science, something ancient awakened. On a distant world beneath a sky of red and silver, a powerful alien woman fell to one knee. Her name was Karen Valles, and she was feared across her people's empire. A warrior, a commander, born to a bloodline that had ruled for centuries. She had rejected every bond, every claim, every forced union her kind demanded. She had chosen freedom, until the bond chose her. Pain shot through her chest as ancient symbols burned into life along her arm. The mark of union, the mark she had sworn would never appear. Around her, her guards froze in terror. "It has awakened," one whispered. "The marriage bond." Karen clenched her teeth. "Impossible. I never accepted it." "The bond does not ask," the elder replied. "It chooses." On Earth, Ethan staggered backward and sat heavily on his bed. His breathing was steady, but his thoughts were not. He felt watched, not by eyes but by presence. Like someone somewhere had become aware of him. That night he dreamed. He stood on a wide plain under an alien sky. Two suns burned overhead. In front of him stood a tall figure, strong, armored, eyes glowing with quiet intensity. She looked at him not with anger, not with love, but with surprise. When he woke, his heart was racing. The ring was still warm. The next few days were strange. Machines around Ethan worked better when he touched them. A broken engine started with one try. A faulty power unit stabilized without explanation. Once, when a metal beam slipped from a rack and fell toward him, the ring pulsed, and the beam shifted, missing him by inches. Ethan told no one. He was not afraid. He was curious. On the fifth night, the sky changed. At first, it looked like clouds. Then the stars disappeared. Dark shapes hung silently above the city, enormous and impossible. Alien ships. No alarm sounded. No explosions followed. The ships simply waited. Then they moved. A beam of light touched the street outside Ethan's apartment. There was a knock on his door. Ethan stood still for a long moment, then opened it. Two figures waited in the hallway, tall, armored, clearly not human. Their posture was respectful, almost careful. "You are the bonded," one said in a deep, calm voice. Ethan swallowed. "I think you have the wrong apartment." The alien tilted his head. "The ring confirms it. You are the one." They did not grab him. They did not threaten him. They bowed. "We request your presence," the alien said. "The bond has awakened. A union has been formed." "I didn't agree to anything," Ethan replied. The alien nodded. "Neither did she." That sentence stayed with him as they escorted him outside. People watched from windows, frozen in fear. No one tried to stop them. The beam lifted Ethan gently into the ship. Inside, the technology was beyond anything he had imagined. Smooth walls, soft light, no sharp edges. He felt calm even as his mind screamed questions. "Who is she?" Ethan finally asked. "A leader of our kind," the alien replied. "Unmatched in strength, unclaimed by choice." "Then why me?" The alien hesitated. "Because you survived the bond." Ethan looked at the ring. "What happens now? You will meet her." The ship moved faster than anything Ethan had known. Stars stretched and vanished. Time felt strange, like it folded in on itself. When they arrived, Ethan was led into a vast hall. Warriors lined the walls. Elders watched from high platforms. At the center stood Karen Valles. She was taller than any human. Her armor was dark, marked with symbols of rank and war. Her eyes locked onto Ethan the moment he entered. The bond reacted instantly. The ring pulsed. The markings on her arm glowed softly. The room fell silent. Karen stepped forward, slow and controlled. She stopped only a few steps away from him. Up close, Ethan could see the tension in her jaw, the disbelief in her eyes. "You," she said quietly, "you are human." "Yeah," Ethan answered. "And you're not." A few elders gasped. Karen almost smiled. "The bond chose you," she said. "A species with no claim, no empire, no ancient blood." "I didn't choose it," Ethan replied honestly. "I bought a ring from a market stall." That caused a ripple of shock through the chamber. Karen studied him carefully. She felt it now. The bond was stable, strong, perfectly balanced, something her people had not seen in generations. "This should not work," an elder said sharply. "He is weak." Ethan met the elder's gaze. His voice did not rise. "I fix broken things. I don't break people." Silence followed. Karen turned to the elders. "The bond is law. You taught me that." They could not deny it. She looked back at Ethan. "Until this is understood, you remain under my protection." Ethan nodded slowly. "I don't know what I'm part of, but I won't run." For the first time in her long life, Karen felt something shift inside her. Not power, not duty, hope. Far away, Earth continued to turn, unaware that one quiet human had just become part of something ancient, dangerous, and galaxy-shaking. And the ring, simple and unremarkable, rested on his finger, silent, waiting, bound. Ethan did not sleep that night. The room given to him was large, quiet, and softly lit, but it did not feel real. The walls curved smoothly, made of a material that felt warm like stone and alive like skin. There were no windows, yet he could feel space beyond it, vast and endless. He sat on the edge of the resting platform and stared at the ring. It looked the same, simple, silent. But everything around him said his life was no longer simple. Guards stood outside the chamber, not as prisoners would be guarded, but as something valuable, something important. That made him uncomfortable. On the other side of the palace, Karen Vali stood alone on a high balcony, looking out over her world. Towers of dark metal stretched toward the sky. Ships moved in clean lines. Everything was ordered, controlled. Yet inside her there was chaos. The bond pulsed steadily along her arm, its ancient markings glowing faintly under her skin. It had never activated for anyone else. Not warriors stronger than her, not leaders older than her, not nobles with perfect bloodlines, but for a human, a quiet one. She clenched her fist. This makes no sense. An elder approached carefully. The bond has never lied. It has never chosen wrong, Karen replied. Until now. The elder shook his head. He stabilized it. Instantly. That alone proves his worth. Karen remembered the moment Ethan entered the hall. The way the bond settled like it had been waiting for him. No resistance. No conflict. That frightened her more than if it had burned. At dawn, Ethan was escorted through the palace. He walked calmly, hands open, eyes curious but alert. Warriors watched him closely, some with anger, some with confusion, a few with respect. They entered a wide chamber where elders sat in a circle. Karen stood at the center. The bonded human stands before the council, an elder announced. Ethan nodded politely. Good morning. Several elders stiffened at his casual tone. Karen raised a hand. Speak freely. He is under my protection. An elder leaned forward. Human, do you understand what you carry? I understand. I bought a ring, Ethan said honestly. And now I'm very far from home. Murmurs spread. The bond ties you to one of the most powerful beings in this empire, the elder continued. It grants influence, access, and danger. Ethan looked at Karen. Does it force her to stay with me? Karen's eyes narrowed slightly. No, the bond connects. It does not chain. Ethan nodded, relieved. Then I don't want to trap anyone. That answer unsettled the council more than defiance would have. A younger noble spoke sharply. Humans are fragile, short-lived, emotional. This union weakens us. Karen turned to him. You speak without proof. He has no combat record, the noble said. No genetic strength, no history. Ethan stepped forward slightly. I'm not a warrior. If that's what you want, you won't find it in me. Karen watched him closely. But Ethan continued, I don't quit, and I don't betray people who trust me. Silence followed. The elders exchanged looks. The bond will be tested, the lead elder finally said, by tradition. Karen's jaw tightened. You would risk destabilizing it. We must, the elder replied. For the empire. Ethan exhaled slowly. What kind of test? Not battle. Endurance. They brought him to a chamber deep within the palace where ancient technology hummed softly. The air felt heavy. The bond reacted immediately, pulsing with warning. This device measures mental and emotional stability, an elder explained. Most species fail within minutes. Karen stepped forward. If it harms him, it will not, the elder interrupted. Unless he resists, Ethan met Karen's gaze. If this helps you understand what's happening, I'll do it. She hesitated, then nodded once. I will remain connected. He entered the chamber. The moment it activated, memories flooded him. Loneliness, long nights, broken machines. Small kindnesses never noticed. Failures, quiet perseverance. The pressure grew. The device searched for fear, for rage, for hunger, for power. It found none. Ethan focused on breathing, on calm, on fixing what was broken like he always had. Minutes passed, then hours. Outside, the elders watched in disbelief. The readings are stable, one whispered. Karen felt it through the bond. His calm steadied her own thoughts. The pressure that had weighed on her for years eased slightly. Finally, the chamber opened. Ethan stepped out, pale but standing. Is that it? He asked quietly. The lead elder stared. No being has ever endured that without collapse. Ethan shrugged. Guess I've had practice being alone with my thoughts. Something shifted in the room. That night Karen visited Ethan's chamber alone. You surprised them, she said. I didn't mean to, Ethan replied. I just didn't fight it. She studied him. Most of my kind fight everything. Sounds exhausting. She let out a short, surprised breath that was almost a laugh. The bond is growing stronger, she admitted. That should not happen so quickly. Ethan looked at her. Does it bother you? Yes, she said honestly, and no. They stood in silence. Do you hate me? Ethan asked. Karen answered without hesitation. No. That truth echoed through the bond, steady and clear. Outside the palace, not everyone accepted the result. In shadowed halls, voices whispered. The human must be removed. The bond cannot be broken gently. Then it will be broken violently. A plan began to form. On the third day, as Ethan explored the palace under light guard, an explosion rocked the eastern wing. Alarms screamed. Warriors rushed. A blast door failed. Ethan was thrown backward as debris fell. Without thinking, Karen moved. She crossed the distance faster than sight, her strength amplified by the bond. She shielded Ethan with her own body as energy tore through the hall. Pain burned through her side. Ethan grabbed her arm. "You're hurt." "I heal," she said through clenched teeth. "Not fast enough," Ethan replied. He pressed his hand against her wound. The ring flared. Energy flowed, not violent, not overwhelming, balanced, steady. The wound sealed. Karen gasped, stunned. The attackers fled. When it was over, warriors stared in silence. "He healed her," one whispered. Karen looked at Ethan, eyes wide. "You should not be able to do that." "I didn't try," he said. "I just wanted to help." The bond pulsed warmly between them. From that moment on, doubt began to crack. Not everyone trusted him. But fewer dared to call him weak. And deep within the ancient bond, something new was forming. Not domination, not destiny alone, but choice. Far away, beyond the palace walls, forces were already moving, preparing for something far larger. And Ethan, the quiet human who fixed broken things, was now at the center of it all. The days after the attack changed everything. Ethan was no longer treated like a strange guest. He was no longer just the bonded human. Now when he walked through the palace halls, warriors straightened their posture. Elders watched him with careful eyes. Some still feared him. Some respected him. None ignored him. Karen Vallis felt the change more deeply than anyone. The bond between them had grown stronger after the healing. It no longer felt like a sudden force placed upon her. It felt steady, like something that had always been missing had finally locked into place. That truth disturbed her. She had built her life on strength and independence. She trusted her blade, her command, her will. Depending on another, even through a bond she did not choose, felt dangerous. And yet when Ethan was near, her thoughts were clearer. When he was calm, so was she. That alone made him a threat to old traditions. The council called for another gathering. "This cannot continue without clarity," the lead elder said. "The bond is evolving." Karen crossed her arms. "The bond reacts to balance. He provides it." A human providing balance to an ancient warrior caste, a noble snapped. "Absurd." Ethan stood quietly beside Karen. He did not interrupt, he listened. "The empire was built on strength," the noble continued, "not feelings." Ethan finally spoke. "Strength without control destroys itself." The room fell silent. Karen turned slightly, surprised. He had never spoken so firmly before. "My people," Ethan continued calmly, "built machines that could tear cities apart. We learned the hard way that power without care leaves nothing worth protecting." Some elders shifted uncomfortably. Karen watched him closely. The bond pulsed, not louder, not brighter, but deeper. The council made its decision. "The bonded pair will undergo a joint trial," the lead elder announced. "Not of combat, of command." Karen stiffened. "You test my leadership. We test the bond," the elder replied. "You will be sent to a border world in unrest. Govern together, restore order." Ethan blinked. "You want me to help run a planet?" "A settlement," the elder corrected. "If you fail, the bond will be deemed unstable." Karen knew what that meant, forced separation. Or worse. The journey took days through folded space. Ethan spent most of it observing. He noticed how Karen commanded without raising her voice, how her presence alone kept warriors disciplined, how tired she looked when she thought no one was watching. "You don't have to carry everything alone," Ethan said quietly during one long stretch of silence. Karen did not answer right away. "That is how leaders survive." "That's how they break," he replied. She looked at him then, really looked, not as a bonded partner, not as a problem, as a person. The border world was harsh, dust storms, broken infrastructure, fear everywhere. Two rival factions blamed each other for failing systems and missing supplies. When Karen arrived, the people knelt in fear. She hated that. Ethan noticed immediately. "They don't trust you," he said softly. "They're scared." "They obey," she replied. "For now." Instead of issuing orders, Ethan asked questions. He listened to workers. He helped repair water systems. He sat with families who had lost power and heat. At first, Karen thought he was wasting time. Then the attacks stopped. People began sharing information. Supply theft was exposed. Sabotage was revealed. "He did in days what force could not do in years," a local commander admitted. Karen felt something shift again. During a storm, when power failed across the settlement, Ethan worked non-stop beside engineers, hands dirty, exhausted but focused. Karen watched from the shadows. He did not seek praise. He sought solutions. That night, as systems came back online, the bond pulsed with quiet warmth. "You change things," Karen said. "So do you," Ethan replied. "You just don't see it." But not everyone wanted peace. A rival faction leader launched an attack during the storm's peak, believing chaos would hide it. Explosions tore through a housing block. Karen moved instantly, directing defenses. Ethan ran toward the damage. "Stay back," she ordered through the bond. "I can help," he replied. A support beam collapsed. Karen felt it through the bond, a sharp spike of danger. She abandoned command and rushed inside. She found Ethan holding the beam, muscles shaking, face pale. The ring glowed faintly, reinforcing his strength just enough. People escaped beneath him. Karen slammed the beam aside and pulled him free just before the structure fell. For the first time, she held him protectively instead of the other way around. "You could have died," she said. "So could they," he replied weakly. That moment was seen by soldiers, by civilians. By the Empire, the trial ended early. The council's verdict was forced upon them. "The bond has surpassed expectation," the lead elder admitted. "The human has altered the outcome." Karen stepped forward. "Then accept it." But acceptance breeds fear. A secret order within the Empire decided the truth could not spread. If humans learned they were compatible with ancient bonds, power structures would fall. So they planned removal, not of Ethan, of Earth. Karen sensed the shift first. The bond screamed warning. Ethan felt it seconds later. "They're planning something," he said. "Something big." Karen accessed restricted channels. Her blood ran cold. A strike fleet was being prepared not to conquer Earth but to isolate it, cut it off forever, erase contact. "He is the risk," a commander said over the channel. "Remove the source." Karen ended the transmission, hands shaking. "They want to silence humanity," she said quietly. Ethan absorbed that without panic. "They're afraid," he said. "Yes. Then they don't understand us." Karen looked at him. "If you stay with me, Earth suffers. If you leave, the bond may break." Ethan did not answer immediately. Then he said, "I won't let my world pay for me." The bond tightened painfully. Karen felt fear for the first time in years. "No," she said firmly. "I will not allow them to destroy your home." "Then we stand together," Ethan replied. "Not because of the bond, because it's right." She searched his face for doubt. There was none, only resolve. Something ancient and powerful responded to that choice. The bond changed. Not brighter, not louder, stronger. Elsewhere, alarms began to sound across the Empire as systems reacted unpredictably. The bond was no longer just ancient. It was evolving. And the galaxy was about to learn that humanity was not weak, it was compatible. And that made all the difference. The warning spread through the Empire like a silent storm. Ships changed course. Fleets gathered without public announcement. Command channels filled with coded orders. Officially, it was a routine security action. In truth, it was fear moving at the speed of light. Karen Volley stood in the command chamber of her flagship, staring at the tactical display. Lines of red marked the paths of the strike fleet being prepared near the outer systems. One destination glowed faintly at the edge of the map: Earth. Ethan stood beside her, hands clenched, face calm but pale. Through the bond, Karen felt his emotions clearly now. Not panic, not anger, determination. They won't listen to reason, Karen said quietly. Too many of them built their power on the old rules. Then we change the rules, Ethan replied. She turned to him. If we oppose the fleet, we become enemies of the Empire. Ethan met her gaze. If we don't, my world disappears. That settled it. Karen issued orders that would have been unthinkable days ago. Loyal ships were recalled. Defensive formations were altered. Trusted commanders were informed of the truth, not the official lie. Some refused, some followed. Enough followed. As the fleet moved, Karen felt the bond tighten again, not painfully but with focus. It was as if the bond understood the stakes. It did not pull them together physically. It aligned them, thought with thought, intention with intention. For the first time, Karen did not feel alone at the center of command. When the opposing fleet emerged from folded space, the sky above the border system filled with ships, energy signatures spiked, weapons armed. "This is your last warning," a cold voice transmitted. "Withdraw. The human will be surrendered." Karen stepped forward. "I am Karen Volleys. I reject this order." Gasps echoed across command decks on both sides. "You choose a human over your empire," the voice demanded. "I choose balance," Karen replied. "You choose fear." Weapons powered up. The first shots were fired. Space erupted into controlled chaos. Beams of energy crossed vast distances. Shields flared. Ships maneuvered with deadly precision. Ethan watched the displays, heart pounding. He was not a soldier. He had never commanded a battle. But through the bond, he could feel the flow of it, where pressure built, where panic spread. "There," he said suddenly, pointing. "Their formation is rigid. If you disrupt that node, the rest will hesitate." Karen trusted him. She gave the order. The result was immediate. The enemy line faltered, confused by an unexpected maneuver that no traditional doctrine allowed. Karen pressed the advantage, not to destroy, but to disarm. "They're not expecting restraint," Ethan said. "They never do," Karen replied. The bond pulsed, stronger with every shared decision. But the enemy had prepared for more than open battle. A hidden vessel slipped through the chaos, jumping directly toward Earth. Its weapons were not meant for conquest but for silence. Communication disruptors. Long-term isolation fields. Ethan felt it like a knife in his chest. "That ship," he said urgently. "If it reaches Earth," Karen saw it too far, too fast. "I can't reach it in time," she said. Ethan closed his eyes. Through the bond, he reached not for power but for connection. The same instinct he used when fixing broken machines. Understand the system. Feel where it resisted. Apply pressure gently, precisely. The ring burned warm. Across Karen's arm, the markings changed shape, flowing like liquid light. Energy surged, not wild, not destructive. Focused. Karen gasped as new pathways opened in her awareness. She could see the hidden vessel clearly now, its stealth meaningless. "Hold on," she whispered. Her ship surged forward, moving in a way no engine should have allowed. Space bent slightly around it, not tearing, not breaking, yielding. They intercepted the vessel seconds before its final jump. Karen disabled it with a single, clean strike. The ship drifted powerless. Across the battlefield, something shifted. Commanders hesitated. Sensors reported impossible readings. "What are they?" Voices whispered across open channels. Ethan opened a wide transmission channel. His voice was steady, unamplified by anger or pride. "This ends now," he said. "We are not your enemies. We are your future if you let us be." Some laughed, some listened. Karen added her voice. "Stand down or face a bond you no longer control." The battle slowed. Weapons powered down one by one, not all. A hardline commander launched a final attack, targeting Karen's flagship directly. A weapon designed to tear through shields and hull alike. Karen felt the danger too late. Ethan reacted instantly. He stepped forward, placing his hand against the command console. Through the bond, through the ring, through every quiet strength he had ever built, he anchored himself. The bond flared, not violently but completely. A field formed around the ship, not a shield, but a reinforcement of reality itself. The weapon struck and dissolved, its energy spread harmlessly into space. Silence followed. No one had seen anything like it. The hardline commander retreated. The battle was over. In the aftermath, the truth spread faster than any official report could contain it. Recordings, sensor data, first-hand accounts. A human had altered an ancient bond, not by domination, by balance. On Earth, people saw strange lights in the sky but no destruction. Communication remained open. The world turned on, unaware of how close it had come to isolation. Karen stood with Ethan in the quiet of the command chamber after the battle. Exhaustion weighed on them both. "You saved my world," Ethan said softly. "You saved mine," Karen replied. The bond settled, no longer urgent, no longer strained. It felt complete. But the galaxy was watching now. Old laws were breaking. New questions were forming. If one human could do this, what could humanity become? Far away, councils gathered. Plans were rewritten. Fear mixed with curiosity. And at the center of it all stood a quiet man with a simple ring, and a warrior who had learned that true strength did not stand alone. The war had ended, but the change it started was only just beginning. The galaxy was no longer the same. Karen Volley stood on the bridge of her flagship, staring at a view that stretched across uncountable stars. Fleet movements had stabilized. Threats had retreated, yet she felt no relief. Not completely. The bond pulsed softly, steady and warm, but it carried a new weight. The weight of choices, of consequences, of a future no one could yet see. Ethan stood beside her. His hands were folded, his face calm, though his mind raced. He had never wanted this, never wanted power, fleets, or battles beyond his world. And yet here he was. Chosen not because of strength, but because of something his people always carried without realizing it: resilience, empathy, and quiet courage. Karen turned to him. "You could have walked away. No one would have stopped you." Ethan shook his head. "I couldn't. Not after seeing what they planned. Not after seeing what could happen if I did nothing." She studied him for a long moment. He was human, fragile by appearance, ordinary by any measure her empire had ever used to judge worth. Yet he had changed everything, not with firepower, not with domination, but with balance. The bond had chosen well. The final step remained, a public affirmation, not for them but for the empire, for every world watching. The union of a human and a high-ranking alien warrior was unprecedented. Some would see it as weakness, others as opportunity. They traveled to the capital world. The streets were crowded with citizens, nobles, and soldiers, all eager to witness history. Karen wore ceremonial armor, gleaming dark metal etched with the mark of her lineage. Ethan wore a simple suit, unremarkable yet somehow commanding. The ring on his finger pulsed softly, a quiet reminder of what had started it all. The council gathered, expecting tension. Karen stepped forward and addressed them with a calm, unwavering voice. "The bond is not a tool of conquest. It is a connection of choice and understanding. This human did not seek power. He did not dominate. He proved that courage and care can create strength greater than fear and force." Whispers spread across the assembly. Some nobles scowled. Some soldiers nodded. The truth was undeniable. The union was real, unbreakable, and it had prevented catastrophe across systems. Ethan stepped forward. He spoke simply, clearly. "I am not your leader. I am not your savior. I am just someone who did what was right. But I will stand by her side because it matters, because choice matters." The crowd fell silent. Many did not understand completely, but all felt the weight of what was being said. Karen extended her hand. "Do you choose to remain with me willingly?" Ethan took her hand. The bond reacted instantly. Warmth flowed through both of them. "Yes, not because it is forced, not because of tradition, but because I want to." The council exchanged glances. Some muttered objections, others nodded slowly. The union could not be reversed without shattering law and history, and the bond itself had changed. It no longer simply connected two beings. It altered perception, understanding, even the rules of the empire subtly, without destruction, without chaos. The ceremony was brief but powerful, a simple exchange of words, a clasp of hands. The ring on Ethan's finger glowed one last time, then settled into soft warmth. Outside, citizens cheered. Soldiers who had once questioned him now bowed with respect. News spread faster than any empire message could move. The galaxy would remember this day. Humanity had not conquered. Humanity had not destroyed. Humanity had shown something new. After the ceremony, Karen and Ethan walked the palace halls together. For the first time, they did not feel the distance of duty between them. They were partners, equal and connected. "You didn't need to fight," Karen said softly. "You didn't even need to prove yourself physically, and yet you've earned everything." Ethan smiled faintly. "I guess that's just how we humans are. We try to fix things, even when we shouldn't, even when it's hard." Karen laughed lightly, a sound rare and genuine. "I see now that strength is not always measured by power or dominance. It can be quiet, steady, like you." The bond pulsed gently between them, a reminder that connection was more important than control, that courage could be expressed in choices, not weapons. Over the following weeks, the empire adjusted. Borders stabilized. Fleets returned to patrol duty rather than war preparation. The secret factions that had plotted against Earth were disbanded or reassigned. Humanity earned respect not through conquest but through example. Karen worked to reform policies, guided subtly by Ethan's insights. He never claimed authority. He never sought recognition. He simply suggested, helped, and reminded her of what it meant to protect life, not just rule it. The bond ensured that each suggestion, each action, resonated with mutual understanding. One evening, standing on a balcony high above the capital city, Karen looked at Earth through the networked view screens. Small, fragile, yet untouched by the violence that had nearly reached it. "They'll never forget you," she said quietly. Ethan shook his head. "They won't need to. Humanity will remember itself. That's enough." Karen placed a hand on his shoulder. "I underestimated your kind, not because of weakness, but because I forgot what courage without arrogance could do." Ethan smiled. "Guess you weren't the only one learning." For the first time, Karen felt truly free. Not because she had power, not because she had command, but because she had chosen someone by will, not tradition. Someone who made her feel that strength could be gentle, that influence could be rooted in understanding, that leadership did not demand sacrifice of what is human. The bond between them remained strong, but it no longer dictated terms. It merely connected. It amplified trust, loyalty, and shared purpose. Together, they began to reshape not only the empire but also how humans and aliens viewed one another. Ethan returned to Earth periodically, quietly, to see his home world. Each time he returned to the Empire, he brought stories, knowledge, and perspective. Karen learned to see humanity not as fragile or chaotic, but as unpredictable, resilient, and capable of incredible balance. The galaxy shifted. Alliances formed not through intimidation, but through example. Other species began to question old laws, old traditions, and rigid hierarchies. One human had shown them a new way, one where choice and courage mattered more than fear and dominance. On a quiet night, Ethan and Karen walked through the palace gardens. Stars sparkled overhead. Flowers swayed in soft artificial wind. The bond pulsed gently between them, warm and steady. "You think the galaxy will accept this?" Ethan asked. Karen looked at him, eyes soft but certain. "It already has. Slowly, yes, but it will. Because they saw what we did, how we stood together without destruction. Strength like that, it cannot be ignored." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then maybe humans aren't so small after all." Karen laughed softly. "They're never small. They just forget sometimes." The ring on Ethan's finger glowed faintly in the starlight, a simple symbol that had changed everything. A small, quiet human choice had altered the destiny of two worlds, perhaps more. And it was only the beginning. Together they watched the stars. The Empire, the galaxy, even Earth, they were all part of something larger now, something better. Not chosen by duty, not by fate, not by law, chosen by each other. And for the first time in her life, Karen Valles knew that this choice, this bond, was stronger than any weapon, any fleet, any rule. It was something entirely new, something unstoppable, and it was human. The quiet human who bought a simple ring had become more than legend. He had become a symbol of what humanity could achieve, not through power but through courage, balance, and the willingness to stand by what was right. Ethan squeezed her hand. "So, what now?" Karen smiled, eyes shining softly. "Now we live, now we build. Now we show them that connection is stronger than fear, and choice is stronger than command." And together, bonded by an ancient symbol and a new understanding, they stepped forward, not as ruler and subject, not as human and alien, but as partners, shaping a galaxy that had never known such balance before. The simple ring on his finger glowed one last time before settling into quiet warmth. Its work was done. Their work was just beginning.